Hello, seventh grade scholars. Welcome to Lesson 1 entitled I Notice, I Wonder. For this lesson, I am incredibly excited because it serves as an introduction to A Long Walk to Water, which is the novel that we will be reading for the duration of this quarter. Our essential question, or our unit theme that we will continuously revisit, is how does culture, time, and place influence who you are? Again, how does culture, time, and place influence who you are? And I want you to take a second and just think about that question. I could sit here and I could tell you all of the wonderful things about A Long Walk to Water, but I would just like for you to take a second and to watch this intro of A Long Walk to Water in the overall book.
Naya is an 11-year-old girl, tall for her age. She lives in southern Sudan. Every day, Naya must walk to the pond to get water for her family. Salva is an 11-year-old boy living a peaceful, ordinary life. Like Naya, Salva lives in southern Sudan. One day, his school is attacked, and Salva runs into the bush, away from home. So begins Salva's long journey across Africa, searching for safety and his family. Naya, Salva's lives will never be the same. Learn how their lives change in A Long Walk to Water.
So as we look at that book trailer, I would like for you to think about our essential question again, which is how does culture, time, and place influence who you are? One thing that the book trailer consistently reiterated was watch how they change. So that is something that we are going to discuss greatly, because our experiences, the things that we go through in life, those are the things that make us who we are. So we will most certainly be diving in and looking at that. So let's dive into the setting. A Long Walk to Water is set down here in southern Sudan. So if you look, this is Sudan as a whole. But this right here, this green area is considered to be southern Sudan, where A Long Walk to Water takes place. It also takes place over here in Ethiopia and down here in Kenya. And though these places look like they're close together, I would like for you to consider the fact that these places are actually pretty far away. And I would like for you to think about how one story can be set in so many different places. So again, they start in South Sudan, but it's also set in Ethiopia and Kenya. In this lesson, we will also be talking about survival by focusing on how people survive in dangerous places. And we'll take a look at this through the lives of Naya and Salva. So now let's take a look at a few scenarios. You are 11 years old. You have been separated from your family by a war. In order to survive, you must walk to an area of safety hundreds of miles away. On the journey, you must avoid soldiers and dangerous wildlife and manage to find food and water. The journey will take months. You do not know if you will survive or ever see your family again. If this was an exercise you had to live through, how do you think it would affect who you grew up to be? I would like for you to take a second and think about that question. Based on the scenario, if this was your experience, you had to live through. How do you think it would affect who you grew up to be? Scenario 2. You are 11 years old. You live with your family in an area far from towns or cities. Your family does not have any running water or electricity. You're responsible for getting water for your family to drink. To do this, you must walk 8 hours every day to a pond and back. You will have to do this every day for years and years. If this was an experience you had to live through, how do you think it would affect the person you grew up to be? I would like for you to think about this question in relation to the scenario as well. Alright, let's take a look. Here is a map of Sudan. You see Northern Sudan and Southern Sudan, Ethiopia, and Kenya. We talked about the setting of the book. So I would like for you to look at this map and tell me everything that you notice. Go ahead and take a second. In noticing a few things on the map, I do not want you to forget that there is a map key, and the map key will help you decipher what these things are on the map. So for example, if you see these little triangles that are pointing up, that lets you know that that signifies mountains. If you see this one right here, the little grasses, that signifies swamp lands. So that's probably a little bit of water with some swamplands all over there. Okay, so our map key definitely gives us an indication of what the environment or terrain is like. So now looking at the notices, I would like for you to take a second and look at the map and tell me, what are you wondering about this map? So I know you didn't think I would just have you sit through the whole lesson and just think about these things. Of course not. Let's put it into practice. What we're going to do is we're going to head over to Google Classroom, and I will give you instructions on how to complete lesson 1. So of course you'll go to Google Classroom, and we'll head over. I'm going to move this down though. We're going to head over to week 5, and we will click Intro to A Long Walk to Water, and you will grab that. So here, the first page serves as an introduction to our new unit with the picture of the map, also the focus for our lessons. Boom. So we just read these 2 scenarios together, and I told you to think about them. Now I would like for you to come over to your anticipation guide, and I would like for you to answer this question. So this was the scenario that we just read about being separated from your family due to a war, and in order to survive you must walk to an area of safety 100 miles away, and on the journey you must avoid soldiers and dangerous wildlife while managing to find food and water. The journey will take months. You do not know if you will survive or if you will ever see your family again. If this was an experience you had to live through, how do you think it would affect the person you grew up to be? So you can simply answer the question by stating, if this was an experience that I had to live through, comma, it would affect the person that I grew up to be, because it would make me stronger and it would help me become more resourceful. Now that is my answer to the question, okay? But you will come down and you will answer this question in a complete sentence. Notice I started with the capital letter and I ended with punctuation. And you will do the same thing for scenario 2. After that, you'll come down here. You have your map with your map key. So the directions for the first one is to look at the map and write down a few things that you notice. So we talked about this already. So we noticed from the key that there's some mountainous terrains. There's also some swamplands. So look at it and tell me everything that you notice. And then your wonders are your questions. Tell me if you have any questions. For example, I see that there's a lot of different mountainous terrains, but I also see Salva's route. That's what these lines are. These right here, Salva's route. So I'm wondering, how did Salva travel to all of those places? I don't know. I see there's mountains and stuff. Is it cold there? Maybe. I see grass, the grass and wetlands. So, and I know that typically brings some animals. So, are there animals? So we can talk about all of these things there that we wonder about the map. But please note that a wonder is a question, and the notices are things that you know for sure. So the final thing I would like for you to do is list 3 different environments that Salva's journey, that Salva journeys through. So 3 different environments. So we see this right here is his route. So we see that he had to go through some plains, some wetlands, and some mountains, and some deserts too. So he had to go through a lot. The only thing that you need to do is just tell me the 3 environments that he had to go through. Okay? And that concludes your introduction to A Long Walk to Water.